Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for GRE. We have been solving GRE math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the revised GRE, the second edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problems that we are about to solve are the ones that you will find on page number 244. Please turn to it, page number 244, and today is our lesson number 352. These problems that you see there on page number 244 are the exact same problems that appeared in the first edition of the revised GRE. We have already solved every single problem from here, from this book. If you're interested in watching the original solution, you will find the original solution on day number 145. We will solve the three inequality problems that you see there in problem number 8. Now here's the deal. This is I have made a little change in these problems. In the book, of course, there are no answer choices. Here we are presented with 5 answer choices. At the end, when we get done with our work, we have to pick one of the 5 answer choices. Let's get going. Now, in the event, listen very carefully, please. In the event that you are not very good at solving inequalities, and if it confuses you a little bit here and there is plenty of material for you to practice there. All of these days are listed here. Day 334, 335, 316, 317, 282, 145, 121, 104, 105, 59, and finally 60. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 11 days there. There are 11 videos there. That's plenty of practice in case you need more help. Number 1, it says negative 3x is greater than 7 plus x. The very first thing we need to do is to bring our unknown on one side, bring all the x's on one side and bring all the numbers on the other side. There are no numbers on this side, so we have to bring this x to that side. Let's subtract x from both sides. And that gives us negative 4x is greater than 7. Now listen carefully. The only difference, okay, listen very carefully. Solving an inequality, if you know how to solve an equality, had this been an equality, had this been an equality, and if you know how to solve this equation, then solving an inequality is no different than solving an equality. If you can solve this, you can solve that. There is no difference at all, except one. There is one tiny difference, one tiny rule that we have to remember, and as long as you keep that in mind, you're fine. Okay, here's the rule. Just give me 1 second here. Here's what's going on. Would you agree that 10 is less than 12? Of course you would. Why wouldn't you? You're not insane. 10 is less than 12. What happens if we multiply both sides of the inequality by 2? Would you still agree that 2 times 10, which is 20, is less than 2 times 12, which is 24? Is 20 less than 24? Of course it is. But what happens if instead of 2, if we had multiplied both sides of the inequality by a negative number? This is the only difference. Now, what we end up saying is that negative 2 times 10, which is negative 20, and here we have negative 2 times 12, which is negative 24, and negative 20 is no longer less than negative 24. Negative 20, in fact, is more than 24. So the only rule that we have to keep in mind is that as soon as we multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative number, the direction of the inequality has to switch. I'm going to say it one more time. As soon as we divide or multiply both sides of the inequality by a negative number, the direction of the inequality needs to be switched. That's the only difference. That's it. That's the only difference. Which is exactly what we have to do here. Now typically in the case of equation, we would have simply divided both sides by negative 4 right here. But we can't divide both sides of the inequality by negative 4 right here because this direction has to be switched. So we have to do the next step. So negative 4x, negative 4x, negative 4x, and here we have 7. We're going to divide both sides by negative 4, and as a result, this sign has to switch. That's all. So the negative 4 cancels out with negative 4. We end up with x is less than negative 7 over 4. X is less than negative 7 over 4. That's the only difference. Now the question is, how do we read these answer choices? What does this tell us? These answer choices have no numbers on them. So how do we read this thing in English language? We have to read this thing that is compatible with how the answer choices are presented to us. How do we read this thing to make it compatible with how the answer choices are presented to us? What does it tell us? This tells us that x is less than some negative number. What this tells us is that x is less than some negative number. What that negative number is has no significance because there are no numbers here. So you find one graph that presents this scenario where x is less than some negative number. And that answer choice, of course, is D. Now what's the difference between answer choice D and answer choice A? Answer choice A would have been the right answer if it had said that x is less than or equal to. Because you see this circle is closed. Here the circle is open, which means you can include 7 over 4. That's the only difference. The correct answer here is D, not A. That's all. Let's do the next one, shall we? Let's do the next one. In the next problem it says 25x plus 16 is greater than or equal to. See, greater than or equal to. That tells us the correct answer, whatever it is, has to have a closed circle. Well, that makes our life easy. Without doing any work at all, how the answer choices are presented here, we can immediately tell that the answer is going to be either A or E. Those are the only two answer choices with the closed circle. So this says greater than or equal to 10 plus 10 minus x. Bring all the x's on one side, on the left hand side, bring the constant on the other side. Let's get going. Let's do it then. I cannot talk if I don't have my pointer in my head. I don't know why. So we have to bring this x to that side. Let's add x to both sides. Let's subtract 16 from both sides. This was a positive. This x is going to cross out. And here we have positive 16 and negative 16. That's going to go away. And we will end up with 25x plus 1x. That gives us 26x is greater than or equal to positive 10 and negative 16 is going to give us negative 6. Now we divide both sides of the inequality by 26. Because 26 is a positive number, we can do it right here. Because we don't have to switch the directions. We don't have to switch the direction of the inequality, we can do it in the same step. So 26 drops out, and x, here we have, is greater than or equal to 6 over 26, which is same as negative 3 over 13. That's our answer. X is greater than or equal to negative 3 over 13. And how do we read this thing? In the context of the answer choices, the way the answer choices are presented, how do we read this thing? This tells us that x is equal to or greater, x is equal to or greater than some negative number. We don't know what that negative number is because there are a number of numbers here. So can you find one answer choice here that presents this that represents this scenario where x happens to be equal to, you see this closed circle, is equal to or greater than some negative number. So it's going to start from here. It's going to start. This is some negative number. It's going to be equal to or greater than that quantity, and then go on like this. The answer is E. This answer was wrong. The answer here is E. Let's do one more, shall we? Let's do one more. Just give me a chance. I'll give you a chance to absorb this material while I absorb my liquid. Number 3. number 3 we have. But of course these are very simple inequalities. In the exam this will appear as an easy question. If you want to practice medium and the hard ones, you will find some mediums and some hard ones out of these days there. The 11 days that are listed there. And of course these are duplications, obviously, because these are duplications. I hope you are day 1 through 250 was the first edition, and then so whatever I did up to day number 250, from 251 when the second edition came out, I started the process again, and anything that is less than 250 is you're going to find a duplication here, just so you know. But it doesn't hurt to do them again. It does not hurt to do the same problem second time around. It gives extra practice. The last one, 16 plus x. 16 plus x is greater than 8x minus 12. Again it says is greater than, which means it has to be an open circle. It has to be an open circle. Answer cannot be E or A. Answer would have to be B, C or D. Let's bring our x's on one side and let's bring our numbers on this other side. Now watch what happens. Typically the convention dictates some simple word like convention. I have trouble spelling. I don't know why I'm digressing about a simple word like this. Convention, of course, has two meanings. One is the gathering, a powwow, or meeting. The second meaning of the word convention, as we already know now, is a tradition. Tradition dictates, convention dictates that we put our unknown on the left hand side and we put our constant on the right hand side. That's just a convention, that's just a tradition. Right now we're going to observe that convention in the breach. We're going to break it, we're not going to observe it. Why? Because watch what happens. If we were to bring, listen very carefully, if we were to bring this 8x to this side, by the time this 8x appears on this side, it's going to become a negative 8x, negative 8 and a positive 1. We're going to end up with a negative 7x here. And if you end up with a negative 7x here, you're going to have to divide both sides by a negative number. We're going to have to switch the direction of the inequality. Why go through all that bother? Let's just bring this guy over there. Okay? Let's subtract x from this side. Let's subtract x from this side. Let's add 12 from this side. And let's add 12 to this side. We will have to switch the direction of the inequality somewhere down the road, but not in the manner that we would have had to do earlier when we were if we were to divide both sides by a negative number. But here we will have to switch the direction. You'll see it in a second. Well, we don't have to switch the direction, but it will make it easy for us to look at by putting the x on the left hand side. Eventually we'll have to put the x on the left hand side for us to be able to see easily with our eyes, because we are used to seeing the x on the left hand side. Positive x and a negative x is going to drop out. 16 plus 12 is 28, and we are told 28 is greater than 8x minus x is 7x. And this drops out. Let's divide both sides by 7. You see, we are dividing by a positive number. Since we are dividing by a positive number, we don't have to worry about switching the directions. So now it says 4 is greater than x. Well, 4 is greater than x is a very bloody awkward way of saying that x is less than 4. 4 is greater than x is a bloody awkward way of saying x is less than 4. So eventually we did have to switch the direction, you see. The whole thing has to be switched. But this is not a big deal. So x is less than some positive number. This says x is less than some positive number. X is less than some positive number. What that number is doesn't really matter. Can we find a scenario where it shows the situation? It cannot be equal to. There is no equal to here. So it cannot be a closed circle. It has to be an open circle. It doesn't say x is equal to or less than. It says x is less than some positive number. Well, here is some positive number, but this one says x is more than, oh, this is negative number. Sorry, this is a negative number. Besides, this was cancelled out. It starts out with negative number. This one falls between. This one says the number is between some negative number and some positive number. This one says, oh, there you go, x is less than some positive number. There is this positive number right here, and it is less than that. We can include this in open circle. It is less than that. The answer is B. The answer is B. That's all. I will see you tomorrow, where we will do the word problem that are coming up there with number 9. Okay? Bye now.